Greetings, friends. Welcome back to the Crypto Damas Astrology channel. I've got some astrology updates for you today. I want to talk about a couple of important astrological events that are taking place next week. So I want to give you a little heads up. We've got a couple of really important astrological events next week. As some of you may know, Jupiter is going to ingress back into Aries, where it spent a couple of months earlier in the year, and it made it up to about 8 degrees Aries, I think, and stationed retrograde in late July. So Jupiter's returning to Aries and making the Aries ingress on December 20th. So that's a big deal because, first of all, Jupiter only really changes signs, roughly about once a year or so. Um, and this is a big, this is the change from Pisces to Aries is a really dramatic change of signs because you're going from the last sign in the zodiac to the first, and that's a new 12-year cycle for Jupiter. So it has a lot of symbolism of new beginnings and fresh starts, and it kind of has this energy of taking a bold action, making decisive plans and taking bold action. So it is a fresh start and a new beginning. However, there's a couple of problems, I think, with this Jupiter ingress into Aries. Number one, Mars, the Aries ruler, is still retrograde and moving backwards. The other problem is that Mercury is now slowing down in its shadow, heading towards the retrograde on December 29th, and heading into that double retrograde period, overlapping of Mercury and Mars retrograde from December 29th, I believe it is, until January 12th. And that's going to be an energetic dead zone that's really hard to move forward and launch big new projects. So that I think is going to, bring some big setbacks, and it's going to interfere with this new beginning, fresh start energy of Jupiter entering Aries. So it's actually pretty complicated. Things should start to improve somewhat after January 12th when Mars goes retrograde. Excuse me, when Mars finally goes direct. That will benefit Jupiter in Aries. However, Mercury will still be retrograde until the 18th, 19th of January. And so we'll still be facing this kind of resistance. We'll still be facing a headwind slowing us down. Let's go and take a look at the astrology chart here. Hang on one second and we'll see if we can get this up. So Jupiter goes into Aries, as I said, on December 20th. And then the sun goes into Capricorn on the winter solstice the very next day, which is December 21st. And that's a very important move because that's called the Capricorn Ingress chart. And it has a predictive quality for the next 3 months. And especially for the holiday season and the new year, it tells us a little bit about the energy that's coming up. On the positive side, the Capricorn Ingress this is for New York City, especially because of the New York Stock Exchange and markets. I ran it for New York City. This has an interesting, Venus is in a very close approaching trine to Uranus and Taurus from 14 Capricorn to 15 Taurus, and that indicates some unexpected excitement and fun times. And maybe an exciting romance or affair of some kind. Venus in a trine to Uranus is kind of a fun aspect. So that bodes well for a fun holiday season. And it's actually, it's somewhat supportive of economic conditions and financial markets, somewhat. The bigger problem here is that you've got a really balsamic moon here. It's 2 days away from the new moon, so it's pretty low energy. It's a pretty low energy chart in terms of the moon placement. And then the other problem is that when the sun makes that ingress into 0 degrees Capricorn, it's going to square Jupiter at 0 Aries, and it's going to activate, Jupiter in Aries, but not necessarily in a great way. The Sun Jupiter square that's kind of baked into the ingress chart really indicates to me excessive qualities. Jupiter squares bring excess of all kinds, excessive behavior patterns. It's unstable and excessive. So it can indicate, overspending and living too high on the hog outside of our budgets, buying luxurious items we can't really afford for the holidays, maybe taking luxurious travel vacations that we also can't afford, um, overindulgence in food and alcohol, drink and drugs, and all of that kind of stuff. So it's a feel-good aspect, but it's an aspect of overconfidence, of overindulgence, of excessive risk. And so the danger here is that we spread ourselves too thin, bite off more than we can chew, take on more than we can handle, spread our resources out too thin. And then, the hangover's going to come, the bills are going to come due, and, that's when we're going to feel the pain of this aspect. So it may feel good at the time, but it's not really a favorable aspect. So it's kind of worrisome for the Capricorn ingress. So that really emphasizes yeah, it's really emphasizing the square between the Sun and Jupiter. Now, interestingly enough, 2 days later, we get a new moon at 1 degree Capricorn, also in a square to Jupiter. So this is really the big theme of the rest of the year here going into the holiday season, is these squares to Jupiter. So, again, have a good time and enjoy yourself. Venus is still in that trine to Uranus here. So enjoy yourself and have a good time. But I think the key word here is moderation. Hold yourself back from overspending and buying things you don't need during the holidays. It's great to take a vacation. Just don't take one that's way outside what you can afford. Of course, we eat good food and drink good wine during the holidays. If you're like me, you like a little bit of good French champagne. But try not to go too far overboard, because I think that's going to be the tendency, that's going to be the energy of this aspect. And also, I think that, for the economy and markets, it's worrisome because it indicates, overconfidence can lead to losses. Excess risk and overconfidence can lead to losses. And again, that's kind of a little bit more long-term view because of the Capricorn ingress, really is predictive for the next 3 months. So just be careful, have a good time, but be careful, and just keep a little bit, keep that keyword of moderation in the back of your mind as you go through the holidays. Now this also falls on the Bitcoin natal chart, on the Bitcoin natal Pluto. So that's a concern for Bitcoin traders and investors. We may see some problems start to develop. We could see a rally up until that Venus trine to Uranus, but I think things tend to go south. I have a series of negative aspects for Bitcoin, starting about December 25th, right around Christmas, and going all the way into January 10th. So that's a date range that I'm very concerned about for Bitcoin. I also just wanted to remind you guys that my 2023 forecast report is available for pre-order. It's now at the regular $24.95 price, and it has great special sections on the economy and markets, Bitcoin and Ethereum. There's a section on the Ukraine, the astrology of Vladimir Putin and Zelensky. I'm also going to add a special section on Elon Musk, and it has a big overview of the economic situation and the financial markets for 2023. So go ahead and check that out. I'm going to post a link for that. It's on my online store. I'm going to post the link for that in the YouTube video post for this video. So go and check that. So I want to wish everybody a happy holiday season. And I'll do another update before the end of the year, but I want to wish everybody a happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and a happy New Year. Hopefully 2023, I think it's going to be a better year than 2022. We're moving out of that aggressive, chaotic tiger year, and we're going into a more soft, gentle rabbit year on January 22nd. So that's something I think is favorable. That's something that's a little bit more positive. Very, very different energy. I think that tiger year was very rough for a lot of people, and certainly it was one of the worst years we've seen for markets in a long time. So 2023, I think is going to be there's going to be some rough spots, especially the eclipses and some of the Pluto's changing signs. I'm working on a video. I'm working on a video forecast actually for 2023 with my good friend, the astrologer Dan Waits, and I'll be putting that out as well. But I hope everybody's doing well, and we will talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.